All right, tile friends. Well, today I have Joseph Mattice with me on the level flooring. Hey, Joseph, how are you?
Pretty good. How about you, Luke?
Doing good, doing good. The reason I asked Joseph here today, and we have done a full episode last year, and you can listen to that. I'll put it in the show notes where he dives into his business. But Joseph and I met 2 years ago, approximately 2 years ago in Nashville, Tennessee, at a Total Solutions Plus. And it was both of our first Total Solutions Plus. And this year, when Joseph and I were at Total Solutions Plus, Joseph basically presented an issue to the technical committee, the TCNA technical committee, and he was, I'll use the word awarded. Is that a good word? Or
We'll say I was volunteered for.
you were volunteered, and you also were able to create or rouse up extra other volunteers and create a subcommittee for a very important problem for tile contractors installing a lot of, not all, but a lot of mosaic tiles that they install. So what I'm going to do is let you take this away and describe the problem, describe why it comes up, and then describe what you did in that room. And the reason that this is such an important topic, I think, for tile contractors in my audience is I'm amazed at how quickly you went from your first Total Solutions Plus to then your second one, and here you have this great committee formed, and you're actually addressing a problem that a lot of people, a lot of tile contractors complain about, and we've had many discussions in groups and social media about this problem. So I'm first of all impressed, and I also want to relay this to the audience because this is how you can make a change. This is how you can get the ball rolling to help you in the field and communicate with the larger industry, specifically in this case, the manufacturers of mosaics. So take it away, Joseph. Explain in a better way than I did what's going on.
So the main thrust of it is mosaics falling apart when we use them, either cut them or install them or whatever. So this originally started with me on a job making a cut on some mosaics, and then when I brought them in, they all fell off the sheet. I had to spend an hour putting everything back into place on the job, in place
Mm-hmm.
on the floor. So I, being an NTCA member, I made a post on the NTCA Facebook group asking, what can we as a contractors organization do about this? We're the largest contractor organization, non-union contract organization in the country. So surely there's something we should be able to do about this, right? So from there, I was asked to present it to the NTCA Technical Committee. And for those who don't know, the NTCA Technical Committee is the committee that's responsible for the NTCA reference manual, and that's the problem cause cure manual. It's one of the big three industry documents, right?
Mm-hmm.
So from there, I was able to do a little bit of research, and through some network contacts from NTCA, I was able to talk to some manufacturers and put together a presentation. And so this year at TSP, during the technical committee meeting, I was afforded a little slot of time to describe. So one of the main things that I was able to get by soliciting pictures and information from other contractors on Facebook was, a lot of these mosaics are mesh mounted with water soluble glue. Of course, as soon as we put them on a wet saw, as soon as we put them in wet thin set,
Mm-hmm.
they all start to fall apart. And so this led to a couple different things. One was way too much glue. Some people were like spending a lot of time painting the backs of their mosaics with waterproofing membranes to hold things together. Some had latex leaching through it. So there's a whole host of issues. Even somewhere, because of the glue dissolving when it hit the
Mm-hmm.
thin set, it never actually bonded.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just sort of held together by gravity and grout.
Yeah.
So I presented this to the committee. And for those who don't know, I'm nobody when it comes to NTCA. I'm not on the technical committee or anything like that. I raised an issue as a member, and they empowered me to sort of pursue it.
Mm-hmm.
So after some discussion, and I was able to show them pictures that were graciously offered to me online, I was able to show them the problem in pictures, show them exactly how bad it was. So the committee proposed that they set up a subcommittee to start off with two things. One was a white paper describing the issues and the challenges, and the other was a precautionary letter. That's something that we as contractors can take from the reference manual and sort of utilize with our contractors, our designers, et cetera, to sort of say, hey, here's something we need to be aware of. Let's try to work around it. That way it's sort of out there and it's in the industry. And from there, things are able to move forward. And basically what they did was they asked for volunteers in the room to join the subcommittee. And we got a great group of people. I am definitely the smallest, smoothest brain on this committee. But we've got people from mortar manufacturers, a Mosaic manufacturer, other contractors. I mean, just really smart people. And so we're going to start moving forward on that and get that written up, get it really put together with some solid information, as well as, some solid proposals to move forward. So that's the overall thrust of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love it, Joseph. Like I said, and thank you for reiterating, you're just not just, but you're an NTCA member. So
Yep.
this is something that any NTCA member can do, is bring up an issue in the group or bring it up to their peers, start discussing it, and then follow up and take it in front of the technical committee, or whatever the appropriate committee would be. Maybe it's not a technical issue. Maybe it's a NTCA thing and you want to bring it up in the NTCA board meeting. These men and women that sit around these tables will listen to you. They listened to Joseph. He went through the proper channels and asked the right questions and did his due diligence. And all this is volunteer work. And Joseph's been, since I've known him for the last 2 years, I've watched him volunteer on committees and start social media groups and, really do your due diligence and put effort forth into giving back to the community at large. So this is something that we need. This is something that I wanted to bring the attention to my audience, because I think a lot of times, when I was 25 and I was a brand new contractor and I looked at these magazines and looked at the NTCA, I just felt it was so far removed from my reality that I didn't even try. I didn't even go there. I didn't even show up. I didn't even have a conversation. But if you're somebody listening to this, young, old, whatever, and you have the ambition to do something, certainly you can. And I think this is a great example. Can you tell me now a little bit about the inner workings of a subcommittee like this? Now, is there a lead person? Are you that lead person? I mean, I guess you are, because it's your initiative, correct?
Yeah. So when they proposed the subcommittee initially, like I said, they kind of volunteered me to it. I could have turned it down, but I accepted it. And so that'll fall to me to sort of connect with everybody else on the subcommittee, sort of direct and gather, the ideas from everybody. Sort of, it's primarily my responsibility to put things together and to take input and to move it forward from there. Okay. And if I can go back a little bit
Sure,
to your point about even if it's an NTCA thing, how any member can bring it up. The first TSP where we met, we were at the NTCA board meeting and they were discussing something. It was a change to the membership, but the way that they were implementing it wasn't going to be all that fair. And so we were able to speak up. Me and another contractor, a new member at the time, Jeremy Ward, actually.
That's right.
We mentioned it, and the board instantly took it into stride and they said, you know what, that's a great point. We're going to delay this. We're going to roll it out differently in such a way that it's fair to our membership. And I think overall it worked out really well, especially because COVID hit not long after that. That change would have probably hit them more adversely than they realized.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And I remember that clearly. It was the three of us. We were all in the back row, like good contractors. No, yeah. I don't know. We might've been in the middle. I don't remember, but it was, I remember it clearly because Bart Bettiga said, he specifically said, are there any new contractors? And we all raised our hands and a few others. And then he was talking to us like, what do you guys think about some of these new initiatives? And both you and Jeremy voiced your opinion, which ended up being the correct opinion on the matter, and they listened to it. So I love it, man. I love it a lot. I want to tell this story because, remove the veil a little bit if I
Yeah,
can, and demystify it. So thanks for sharing with the group. How, and I was going to ask you this in the beginning, but we'll do it
sure.
now. How did you enjoy your second Total Solutions Plus overall? And what would you tell the audience if they've never been?
So I loved Total Solutions Plus. There's the three big shows, right? There's Total Solutions Plus, there's Coverings, and there's Tice.
Hmm.
So I go to Coverings every year, and I go to Total Solutions Plus every year. Total Solutions Plus is the only one that costs. But if I had to choose just one of the three, it's the one I would go to without a doubt. It
Hmm.
is so worth it. A lot of worthwhile content, lots of great networking opportunities. I mean, people that I met at the first one were people that I was able to connect to for this Mosaic thing, or for anytime I want career advice.
Hmm.
There's some people that I met there that I call up, and because we met face to face in a bit of a more intimate environment, they're completely willing to answer the phone, talk with me, and it's been hugely invaluable. So I
Yeah.
highly, highly recommend it for any contractor. It's worth the money. It seems like a lot at first, but it's worth it. It really is.
Yep. Yep. Usually the higher something costs, oftentimes the higher the return you're going to get. And that is definitely the case with Total Solutions Plus. I'm like you, I was blown away by it. It fits Tile Money's mission perfectly, better than the other two larger trade shows, which are more focused on the tile itself or the materials. This is focused on the business. This is focused on relationship building in the industry. And I recommend to all my audience, at least look into it for next year, and
Yeah.
highly, highly consider it. You're doing yourself a disservice if you just write it off because it costs $500-600 or whatever to attend.
Yeah. In fact, one of the probably most valuable things I learned was at this TSP.
Mm-hmm.
There was one of the sessions, it was a late edition, so it didn't make it onto the schedule, but it
Mm-hmm.
was in there, was about contract language and
Mm-hmm.
killer contract language. Now, for somebody like me, I'm very small time. That's important to me because I can't, I can't afford to keep an attorney on retainer to
Sure.
look over my contract, So I was paying attention to this session about contract terms that could honestly destroy your business. But what really made me realize how valuable it was some of the biggest tile contractors in the country, residential and commercial. They were sitting up, they were asking questions because they were seeing the value to them. I was like, man, how much more valuable for me
Yeah.
to be able to integrate this language, even though I'm not in the commercial world, I'm not in the huge and residential world. I'm small time, but still, this language is the sort of thing that I'm going to start integrating to protect myself and to maximize, the value that I can bring and get from a contract.
Yeah, absolutely. And I interviewed Martin Brooks today. That episode will be out Tuesday, probably the 13th, 14th, whatever that is, November, um, in like 5 days, right? 4 days. So the 16th. Anyway, he said the same thing. He said that one briefing or talk alone by that lawyer attorney made the trip worthwhile. He made his money back, just with that one presentation alone. And so what I would like to do actually is get that guy's name and try to get him on the podcast.
I got you. I got his
For
card.
sure. Right on. Thank you, Joseph. And thank you for jumping on here and doing this shorter interview.
My
It's an
pleasure.
important topic, and I wanted to share it. So I appreciate your willingness to share and all the effort that you're doing. You're welcome on the podcast anytime, Joseph.
Sounds like a plan. I'll crash the next one.
All right, brother. Take it easy. Have a good night.
See ya.
All right, tile friends. I hope you enjoyed this and learned something and benefited. Talk to you soon.